You know, it was a good win. I think for our team, our program, felt a little bit uncomfortable going in, knowing exactly what they were all about. They have been a great throwing football team, and then all of a sudden this year they became a very, very good running football team, and with the ability to throw. So they were putting points up, a fair number of points up on most everybody they played, and so there was some concern there. And defensively, they looked very athletic with good team speed, and so you know there was enough there to make you a little bit uncomfortable in terms of if you didn't play really well, you know that you may have to have it become a battle and fight from behind. But I like what our guys were all about. You know, they had an opening drive that got them 3 points, but it did show their ability to move the football. Their quarterback was a very mobile guy, and in fact, a lot of their yardage would end up coming off of quarterback runs and keeps, and so as the game went on, I got a little bit more comfortable in terms of our ability to play well again in all three units. I knew we had an edge going in special teams, defensively and offensively. You know, we controlled their running game from the defensive end of it. They did not line up in their three-back set and run the wishbone, which I lost sleep on during the week. For whatever reason, they did not do it. And defensively, they stayed true to their plan of being very, very multiple, which I lost sleep in terms of our true freshmen, 3 true freshmen playing against a team that's slanting and blitzing and stunting most of the time. But those guys held up well. So all in all, was pretty pleased with the win. Well, you know, I think when we did enter the conference here, they were riding very, very high in terms of what their program was all about. They had some great athletes. They had some great teams. So those battles were tough battles. I thought, for the most part, we played pretty well against them, though. You know, and then eventually got to where we were matching up better with them, and did get a win there. And this last ball game here, you know, was a loss that was a little tough to take. We did fumble a punt right at the end of the game that allowed them, to their credit, to drive the ball then and score, but that was the winning score. And so that game could have been wrapped up, but did not get wrapped up. And so I think they are now very, very good football games with a lot of good athletes on the field. This one should be very similar. They've always been physical football games. Yeah, you know, most teams are running at a fast pace. They are huddling, but there's reason for that. They're running a lot of two-back offense with a true fullback, a true tailback, and quarterback underneath the center. So, you know, you look at teams like Alabama, for instance. It's very similar to what they're doing. A lot of power football. Just line up and try to beat you up and make yards and first downs that way and score that way and wear you down, so that at the end of the game they're a much better team in terms of where you're at, and they're able to get, you know, a lot of good yards off of plays that early in the game maybe didn't produce quite as much. And that's the basis of that kind of an offense, where they wear you down some. They do have the ability to throw, do have some really good receivers, but, you know, they are wanting to run the football. And in the MAC, that's, you know, not that running the football is unusual in the MAC, but certainly no huddle is. Yeah, that's the style that they're doing it with is a little different. But I think it does fit their personnel. You know, you look at them, and that's what they want to be. They want to be a hard-nosed, tough football team, and that style of offense that they're running, that style of defense that they're running, relates to that kind of play. Yeah, it'll be week to week. Um, so, we won't really announce much on him, but he is coming along, but it'll be a week to week status. Yeah, he is a physical back. They utilize a lot of running backs, though. It's just not a deal where they've got one guy that they're going to line up with, and he's going to be the guy. They do use a fair number of backs as they go through a game, and they've recruited to that style of back, and they all fit what they're trying to do very well. They got a good defensive front. Their two interior guys are very strong football players with excellent quickness, and they'll do some movement with them along the line. They're not a heavy blitzing team, but they will show movement up front, and those guys are extremely quick. They got two sets. The guys that start are good size, built, very strong type football players, but with outstanding quickness. The next group is guys that are a little bigger, a little heavier, and they'll just try to stuff you right at the line of scrimmage. So they've got a good combination of things there, and they don't do a ton of different things. So what they do well, and you don't find them out of position, and so that allows them to, if you got good talent, to play good defense, and that's basically what they've done throughout the course of the season. Yeah, you look back on the schedule now, and having played a MAC school first was great if you win it, and we came out on top in that ball game, and so now we've got a MAC win under our belt, which is good for us right now. Obviously, if you don't come out on top, then that's a whole different story. But I think that was an extremely important game for us because we had not played well against Kent State for a few years, and we needed to play well. We did not play a clean game, obviously, -4 on the turnover ratio. In fact, we didn't get one, and that remains a problem. We need to produce some turnovers. This last ball game, we lost the turnover ratio, and we're very fortunate to be 3-2 with a turnover margin where it's at. Not a lot of teams probably are that way. We've got to get that changed as we get in the MAC schedule. If that doesn't get changed, it'll come back to haunt us. Well, I don't know what we can do other than what we're doing. There's certain style of coverages that teams run. If you just play man coverage a lot, unless you're forcing the quarterback to throw in a hurry, you're probably not going to get as many interceptions as you do if you play a zone football team that's strictly zone. And so coverages can sometimes lead into that. The kind of pressure that you put on quarterback can lead into that. But we haven't made backs fumble. We haven't made anybody fumble that's had the ball, and that's tough. I think we have become a good tackling football team. Okay, sometimes when you're a good tackling football team and you bring guys down, you don't have the 3 or 4 guys that surround them, and you don't have the piles, the standing piles that you have where all of a sudden balls get stripped. If you look at a lot of our fumbles, they've been in those piles. They haven't been a deal where guys had bad ball technique and one guy bats the ball out, or a tackle brings the ball out, or a guy gets his helmet on the ball and that brings the ball out. Most of our fumbles have been in those piles where our guys don't go down. They're fighting for extra yards, and then somebody gets a hand in there and rips it out. So I don't know the answer. Obviously you want your backs going for extra yards. Try not to get in piles. Maybe that would help on the football field. That's a little tough to do. Obviously as a back, if your style of running is where you got a lot of forward lean and you're going into the contact and you're not straight up and down, those piles don't occur as much. And so, you know, we keep talking to our backs about good ball technique, about good angles going into contact and covering up with both hands when contact is imminent by certainly more than one guy. And so we practice both producing turnovers in practice with our defense and all kind of protection drills with our guys that handle the ball on the offensive side of it. There's not much more we can do there. You'd like to think that it'll balance itself out. You know, I don't know that we've gotten off to this kind of a start before in the turnover ratio. I'd have to go back and check, but usually those things stick in my mind. And right now, I don't know that we've had this kind of a first 5 game or so situation where we've been behind like this in the turnover ratio, and it's, you know, a concern in terms of moving forward and winning MAC football games. Yeah, you know, if you're playing a lot of young guys and they're not coming along at a very fast pace, you got a problem. And I think our guys have come along at a very fast pace. I think AJ, for instance, Olette stepped on campus ready to go. He had no concern about anything, and that's what you look for. You know, you look for a guy that's physically and mentally able to handle it as a true freshman. Not a lot of those guys are out there. You know, we're fortunate that we've got our fair share of them. Those 3 guys in the offensive line have all accepted the responsibility of learning our offense, being able to pick up stunts and blitzes, being able to really pass pro well. I think you look at our sacks. I think we've got 3 sacks on the year against us. For the young guys that we're playing, you know, that's amazing to me, and especially when we've been facing a lot of blitzing teams, and so they've come along at a really fast pace. They're obviously mature guys mentally, and you need to have that. And physically, they're there. You know, you look at AJ, you look at Jared, you look at Jake, you look at Joe. Those guys physically were ready to step on the field and play as true freshmen. And we got some guys on the defense too, especially at the corner spot playing. And you know, Robbie Walker's got unique ability in terms of running routes and with quickness and really good hands, and so it takes really excellent talent, but then mental maturity that not a lot of guys have when they just come out of high school. We're fortunate to have a lot of guys that are that way, that are playing for us, that are young, and I think when you have them that way, they're probably going to keep getting better as the season goes along. They don't hit a point where they've taken a step and now they're at that same position for the rest of the season or for 4 or 5 games. You know, our guys seem to be getting better and better and better. And it's been tough at some positions, you know. JD at quarterback, that's not an easy position to, even if you're a redshirt freshman, to step in or even a sophomore, as young as a sophomore at the quarterback spot, to be able to step in and handle the mental part of it. You know, in this last ball game, he was handling all of our pass coverages, the pass protections, okay, because of all the different blitzes that they did. We slowed down our game, especially in third down situations, and he handled all the pass blocking by our linemen in terms of what we were going to do by his calls. And usually it takes a guy with a lot of experience to be able to do that. So we're fortunate to have the right kind of makeup in those young guys. Deep throws, we want to connect on deep throws. If he connects on some of those, his passing percentage goes up, and he's capable of definitely being a 60+% passer, and he just needs to connect on a few of those, and I think that's going to happen, and it's just hard to step in with your first start and be perfect. So I think that will be where I see his improvement coming. Yeah, he should be fine for this game. Well, I think since our offense has grown like it has in this non-conference schedule, I think that we can be strong in all three units, and it's tough to find teams that are strong in all three units. We are stopping the run pretty good. This will be a huge test against Central Michigan because of their running style, but we have stopped the run pretty good. We've given up a few more big and explosive pass plays, but than I'd like, but we have cut down on the big and explosive runs that we were seeing so much of last year. Our defense is mature, and so they have the ability to stop the run first and then move on from there. Offensively we're growing. We're becoming a better running football team all the time, and that's huge. Special teams, we got the kicker, we got the punter, we got the snappers, we got the return guys. So, special teams should be strong for us, and that's kind of what we're striving for, is to have all three units contribute to the win. Yeah, he's been banged up a little bit lately, but has been able to keep himself on the field, got through this last ball game, and I'm sure we'll be feeling much better now. He showed in the first ball game, his potential in terms of his speed, his size, his strength, his toughness. So that is something that it took a step back a little bit with an injury, but he's overcoming that now. So he'll be back to his old self. You look at our backers; they're all three capable of making big plays. Fastest group of backers that we've ever had here, and then Quentin to be able to play as early in his career as he's playing and playing as well as he's playing just talks to you about maturity and the mental part of the game, being able to handle all that as well as the physical. And Blair's, he's a unique backer in terms of his speed and quickness and toughness. Is stronger than what the opponent feels he is until they get up against him. He can blitz, he can run plays down, and so he can slice through the line of scrimmage to make a play. So I really like our group of linebackers, and I think they'll just keep getting better. Yes. He'll also play some left guard for us. The only impression I've arrived at, or the only impression I've got right now, is that it's a very competitive division, maybe more so than maybe in the past. If you look at the win that Akron had against Pitt and their capabilities of playing good football, you look at Miami, they're playing much better than what they played last year, and the scores would indicate that they're capable of beating anybody in the MAC, and so Bowling Green obviously has the majority of their personnel come back this year, and so everybody knew that they would be strong in the MAC. Buffalo has always been physical, and they still remain physical. So let's see, did I leave anybody out? UMass has played a lot better, and they're throwing the ball a ton, but they're doing it with effectiveness. I think they've done a great job up there of getting things in line to have them win football games, and so the East is I think is really competitive. It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. You're going to have to line up and play every week to have a shot, and it'll be a tough deal to come out on top on that for anybody. It's not going to be easy. I think that's accurate. I think
just lead to the unpredictability of how things might shake out week to week.
to some degree, you know, and I obviously will get a chance to zero in on the rest of the MAC in terms of personnel. But just following it and looking at scores and so forth, it seems like people have good quarterbacks in their program, you know, and it seems, you know, you look at Bowling Green and their quarterback goes down, and you know, they've got two guys that have played well. You know, one certainly has stepped up and become the starter and has done a great job, and they're putting a ton of points still on the board. You know, we've been able to make a transition and still not have your team just fall apart, where some years, some teams that would happen. But it seems like there's a lot of really good quarterbacks in the MAC, most of them, or a share of them, with less experience, but probably every bit as much talent.